Hi there, I'm Yvette.
And I'm Peter.
And this is our bus, Abby.
We've named our bus after Abiona, the Roman goddess of outbound travel. We're hoping for all the good omens we can get, because the plan is to convert Abby into a motorhome. We're complete newbies at this, and we're kind of hoping that these videos will act as a guide for someone else who's doing a similar thing, and someone might be able to pick up some tips on what to do, or more likely what not to do. The first part of our bus conversion is of course the strip out, so come along and join us and let's get into it. As you can obviously see here, the footage starts after we've already taken the seats out. The seats themselves were pretty basic to take out, just a couple of bolts into the floor and then a couple into the wall for most of them. The back seat was a bit trickier, where there was like a latch thing we had to undo to rock it forward to get it out, but all in all it wasn't too bad. Next, I removed the light fixtures and the speaker boxes from the ceiling. Then we also pulled down the ceiling panels. At the same time, Yvette was taking out some wall panels, and also she began to take out the raised floor at the back of the bus, which wasn't structural at all, it was just holding the seats up a little bit higher at the rear of the bus. Taking down the air conditioning ducts that run either side of the bus was a bit of a tricky one. We had to do it with 2 people, there was no way around it. First step here was to take the screws out which fixed it to the ceiling, then the whole thing sort of hinged down and you could get at the screws that held it to the wall. I guess all of these things could be done a lot quicker if you're a bit more brutal with it, but at the time we were looking at repurposing or recycling some of these things that maybe someone else could make some use of. We realised we couldn't do that because we didn't have the space or the time to keep these on. Hey there. We have spent the last couple of days stripping out some of the stuff in the bus. We showed you, I think, when we first picked up the bus what it looked like sort of with the seats and stuff. We have taken all the seats out. 6 of the seats I think that the people that were selling it to us took for themselves, but we took the rest out. We've taken the side panels off, the roofing panels.
We've also taken out all the floor stuff. We've just got left the plywood. We've taken off the side panels. The job for today is actually to get the insulation off the ceiling. That's what I'll be doing. And Pete's going to be looking at taking out the heaters. So I'll just flip you around so you can see what we've done in here. So as you can see, we are left with just the plywood on the floor down this end. We have got a little bit of an issue down here where it looks like it's been wet at some point, but it looks like it's been dry for quite a while. And into this window there's a little bit of rust that looks like it has been treated, but we'll have a good look at that. We've taken all the ceiling off up to where the driver's bit is. So Pete will be looking at that driver's bit today, which also holds the air conditioning unit up there. My job for today is to get rid of all of this insulation into the rubbish bags. What else are you going to be doing, Pete?
I'm going to be taking out the 2 floor heaters and repiping probably just looping around the, the rubber hose underneath. I looked under there a few minutes ago just to see what was involved in maybe stripping out some more of the pipework back towards the engine. It looks like it gets a bit complicated back there because it also goes off to the dashboard and the heater in behind there. If we start taking too many pipes out, I think it might get a bit messy, so I think we'll just loop underneath where each heater unit is. We'll just loop the pipe round, just send it back to the engine, and it should be okay, I think, like that. So we'll take those units out today, get rid of them, get rid of a bit more weight, and then, like Yvette said, we'll take out probably some more of the panelling above the cab there where it covers up to the air conditioning unit, and the ceiling we'll get rid of some of this insulation because it's not great, and as numerous other people have found out that it's like quite flammable and it's not particularly great, so we're going to replace that with something a bit more green perhaps. We're thinking maybe something along the lines of the Ortex green stuff, maybe something like that, because it's polyester, it's easy to work with, and it doesn't seem to absorb moisture like the fiberglass bats. So we'll probably look at something like that, but that'll be later on. But we'll carry on stripping out what we can today, and then we might even look at what we're thinking about with regards to a layout, because we've had a brief chat about what we want to do with the layout, just trying to figure out exactly where things might go. Still a work in progress at the moment. So yeah, we'll get into it. Hopefully we'll make some progress today. Just popping back in the bus today, try and catch up on a few different things. Yesterday I took the heater units out and repatched the hoses in to loop back round. I just want to check it out today, make sure they don't leak. It's been a few days since we started the bus, so I'm going to give it a start and let it run for a bit and see if we can get the heaters to kick in, so that we can check and see if there's any leaks there. And then I'm going to sort of potter on and do a few other bits and pieces today. We've got a problem with the back doors, I'll show you in a minute, where they're sort of misaligned a little bit, and at the top there's a bit of a gap where you know, if the weather comes in the right way, it goes straight in the gap and misses the seals. And so I'm going to try and look at realigning the door if I can. I've had a bit of a look at it, and hopefully something can be done. This is the last patch of sealing that we've got to take down. Is just above the cab here, up to where the vent is for the air conditioning unit. So I'm going to take that down, see what we've got up there, and make sure that all the ducting and everything we can use or we can loop back, so that we're essentially only going to have air conditioning in the cab area, and we're not going to run it back to the back of the bus where it has run in the past. So that's a few things I was going to have a crack at today. Might even look at sorting out the step here, just where the lino, the old lino, sort of stops by the cab. There's like a little step, and we don't want to mess with it too much on this side where the seat is that is going to stay, but we want to sort of get this side sorted out so that we can get on with our floor plan and figure out what room we've got to play with. First of all, we'll see if she starts. It's been a few days. Happy days. She seems to have started okay. Because I did lose a bit of fluid through the cooling system yesterday when I was taking out the heater units, I'll also have to top it up, the cooling system, by running a bit of water through the engine and everything like that. Hopefully I can fill all the gaps, and when I turn it off I'll give it a bit of a top up just to make sure that the fluid's all good. Then I'll carry on with the other bits and pieces. Yeah, see what issues I can find, and I'll keep you up to date. So the temperature's coming up there now. Probably not quite normal operating temperature, but it's getting up there. I haven't seen any leaks on the stuff that I did yesterday yet. For now, pretty happy with that. The only way to really know is probably to take it out on the road, give it a bit of a drive for a while, put it through its paces and hope for the best with the leaks. Might try that another day, but at least for now, you know, pretty happy with it. Nothing really underneath that looks like it's going to be dodgy. Probably shut the engine off and have a crack at some other bits and pieces, and carry on with my day. Around about here is where I re-linked these pipes yesterday from the heater units on the front heater unit. So I can't see any leaks yet, and I'll just keep it running for a while longer, make sure there's nothing. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what happened the other day when I looped the heater units up. The other one on the other side is all good. This one on this side, on the passenger side, was leaking, I noticed, and there was a bit of a drip. So this was the bodgy job that I did initially to try and get that to loop round under here, and of course it leaked here where I tried to join the two pipes up. I used a piece of pipe off of the old heater unit and just cut it and tried to use it as a joiner in the middle and put the clamp back on. But it wasn't like gushing out, but it was dripping. I went to Repco and found the closest bit of pipe that I could. Ended up costing like 30 bucks, and I had to cut the end off of it, but it sort of has done the trick. I'll just show you under here. So here is the two pipes, which, you know, these holes in the floor here are where the pipes used to go through to the heater unit up inside the bus. And this is the new piece of hose that I got from Repco. So it's one complete piece of hose, and it's not going to leak like this dodgy bit that I made up. So I've got rid of that and gone with this. It's not perfect because the hose was obviously not made for this. I did check, so the water will get through there. It's not crimped enough that it's going to cause it to block. So I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. It's not major because it's just essentially the cooling fluid returning from this loop back to the engine, really. So it shouldn't be a big problem, just as long as it doesn't leak. So that was the solution. It cost about 30 bucks from Repco, like I said, for that bit of hose, and I had to cut. There's about this much longer on this end of the pipe on the hose, and I cut that off and just clamped it here with the original clamps, and that was the best solution, really. So here's the back door. I'll show you in a second where they've got this gap. You might be able to just about see it. Spin it around. So there's the outside sort of coming in. That's the problem we've got where the door is misaligned. I'll show you on the outside as well, maybe to better illustrate how it's a bit wonky. So if you can look at right up at the top here, you can sort of see that this is the door as it's fully shut at the moment, and it's quite plain to see that the gap is not really even. It's sort of far more at the bottom than there is at the top, and it doesn't really close quite properly at the top up here. At the moment it is fully closed. So what I'm thinking is that the hinge here, I think from what I can see, this is the hinge at the bottom, and it's sort of far closer in where the hinge and the door sort of meet. But at the top here you can sort of see that there's a bit more of a gap, and I'm just thinking that I think there's an adjustment bolt in here, a bit like on the other side of the door. So just here I might take this patch off, and behind it I think there's a bolt that goes through to the hinge, and if I can loosen that off, I can maybe push the door in a bit further so that the top part of it is more towards the side of the body, and it might line up better. I might give that a crack and see if we can sort something out with that. Okay, so I just want to give you a quick overview of the door that I was fixing up the other day, how it was misaligned at the top. Now you can see that the line down the middle between the two doors is pretty much even, so I fixed that up, and also obviously down this edge it's much more even than it was before. So here's the top hinge. There's one at the top here, there's another hinge obviously at the bottom, and initially there was a sticker covering this hole here and a sticker covering this hole here as well, which is the two bolts that bolt the hinge to the door. Now there is a bit of play in the hole that's in here and in here. So what I did was I just loosened the bolts here and here, and then the bottom one's much the same. I took the sticker off, loosened both bolts, and then I just lifted up the whole door and jimmied it up more at the top than at the bottom to get it as much in line as I possibly could, and then nipped the bolts at the top, and then went back and nipped the bolts at the bottom and had a wee check and see that it was closed. And then I gave it a real good tighten as well, and I've actually just chucked a bit of rust converter on there because there was a little bit of rust on those bolts, but nothing major. I think the hinge has possibly been a little bit bent at some stage, maybe from people sort of swinging off the handle perhaps when they're getting in and out of the back door. But it's not perfect, but it does close better, and the gap sort of has closed up a fair bit, which is what I was after. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. So if you've got any trouble with that hinge dropping, whatever it is, that's just what you have to do there.